Alright. What the heck's going on, everybody? We've got Krystianer in the top left side of the map up against Basilisk's REYNOR in the bottom right side. And this is a highlight series from the Big Gabe Pigstarcraft Cup, a series which so many people have been asking me to commentate, and I'm excited to see what we've got in store. For those who don't know, Krystianer is a guy who I remember even, if we go back to... do you guys remember when REYNOR was really tilted? Like a year ago against Protoss, and he was like insisting Protoss was OP. I don't know if you guys remember, but we kind of did like, it wasn't really a coaching session, but it kind of was, where REYNOR came to my chat and insisted that basically Protoss was OP, and he was like, can you coach me? And he kind of jokingly was asking for advice, and it was a build where Krystianer went single Oracle into Archon Zealot, into Archon drop, and then he just went like for an Immortal Storm timing off 3 bases, and REYNOR just, you know, he was trying to go like Hydras, and he was trying to tech to Lurkers and like 90 drones, and Krystianer would just kill him with mass like Storm Immortal Zealot just before the Lurker Hive tech would kick in. And I was like, well, yeah, you can't get to Hive and 90 drones. Like, this is basics of StarCraft, REYNOR. Like, this is a 3-base play. And you're going, you know, you're going 25 more workers, 2 more bases than him, and higher up the tech tree. Like, you know, that's not how StarCraft works. And REYNOR was like, tell me how to beat him then. We were kind of having some fun banter. I'm not sure if we ever did a YouTube video of this. If we did, you guys go find it. It was quite fun. As we were making fun of each other, because I kind of got I didn't even realize, at first I thought he was purely trolling, asking my advice, and then we realized partway through he kind of was joking, but he also honestly was lost for how to fight it. And I remember I was trying to encourage him to play Mutalisks. He was like, dude, he's just gonna A-move me if I go Mutas, and I'm like, you know, you can try to hide it, you know, hide the Mutas. And I was saying, you know, Roach Ravager is really good, and he's like, mate, he's got 6 Immortals. You want me to build Roaches into 6 Immortals? And I was like, well, don't just stand and fight. Like, you want to kite the Immortals down, man. You want to try and like drop the biles, and you want to base trade is a big thing, right? Because the way that style worked is Krystianer would basically build this one super powerful ball of units, and he would shove in with it, and it was really, really powerful, right? But it's also immobile, and it's like this one moment in the game where he's really strong, and he would push, and REYNOR would find him on the front. And I was like, I think this is like fighting an 8-ranks, where theory-wise, you don't fight it, you counterattack, you buy time, you give up a base, you do anything you can to buy an extra minute or so before you engage into that push. And that's really important to kind of weaken the style. You base trade with Roach Ravager Ling, you go for you know, you go for this tech up into surprise mutas, you focus on the base trade. There's that, you know, but you gotta kind of like take some slight risks. You're not going to be 100%, but I think it was especially hard for REYNOR because he saw himself as being such a favorite against Krystianer that for him, he's like, well, I should always beat this guy. I don't want to risk going mutas. I don't want to risk doing this or that. And I was like, mate, it's ZVP. It's all about catching your opponent off guard. And obviously the thing is, it was a very good build, and it was super optimized by Krystianer. It wasn't easy by any means, but it was kind of interesting because I always think about that particular build when I think about Chrissy. And I'm not really sure if he's still doing anything like that. It does look pretty similar right now. Could be a Glaive Adept, though. This is 1 Oracle into Twilight. It's a very quick Twilight. It looks like a Glaive Adept follow-up. All right. Not bad, not bad. Thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. Biggin. Please don't spoil, says chat. Yeah, don't give away what happens in the games too much, guys, of the games that we will be casting today if you are watching live. A lot of people haven't seen them, myself included. Overlord's going to go down. Nice snipe. It's good. Ling count. Just 8 Zerglings. Not a massive amount, but gets a probe. I think he could have focused that pylon as well. Oh, he's going to go for the Stalker. Worth it if you get it. Oh, he does get it. The thing is, guys, if that Stalker was able to get free of the surround and start moving, the Ling damage output would have dropped very, very rapidly. But because he wasn't able to break out of the surround, killing 1 Zergling didn't break him free. The Lings kept up their DPS, which was really effective. And remember, there's only 1 Oracle. Going across the map with that Oracle's really greedy, but it's okay, because he's got 2 Adepts here, wedged in the mineral line. He's got another Adept in the wall off. Glaive Adepts has now started moving that Adept out of position. A bit of a doo-doo there. Krystianer will be able to defend those. The Oracle pokes around the front side. Now, it is 3 Queens. Only 3 Queens. Oh my gosh, guys. REYNOR's playing a Naughty Boy build. He's gone 3 Queens, 3 Spores. He's gone straight Hydras. So he's rushed there. He's playing a 3-base Hydra rush. Very cool build order. Problem, Glaive Adepts are pretty good against Hydras when they don't have the upgrades yet. I don't think he's quite going to be there. If he'd played more of an economic version, he'd have a Baneling Nest for safety, which is what you want against this. Reynor's going to have to defend this with just Lings, Hydras, and Queens. The Oracle does take some damage. Gets 2 drones there, though. So not too bad. And oh, he sees the Adepts coming. Okay, Reynor's well aware of what's happening now. He's going to build a few more Zergers. He needs to build Hydras. Yeah, he's not going to have Groove Spines, though, which means he's only going to have a 1 range advantage over these Adepts. Oh, man. And with only 3 Queens that he can pull in this emergency. Okay. I mean, he's going to try and run all of his drones and build an emergency wall off. Oh, my God. He's in so much trouble. He's even sending a drone to the right. He's expecting to lose this base on the left side. He's already making the choice to sacrifice that, which is actually genius. Lings are on the outside now. He can't fight this, though. He's going to have to re-wall. Oh, gosh. Luckily, the Adept Shade is a bit derpy there. Looks like a Hydra did go down as it popped out. He's going to try and fight. I don't think it's a good time here for Reynor to be fighting, though. I think Chrissy's very happy with that engagement. You can see he's trying to get towards those Hydras. He knows if he gets on top of the Hydras, they will disappear. Hydras are about to get that +1 range advantage, or +2 range advantage now that they've got the upgrade. The Adepts, though, shading on top, as are the Oracles now. And you need a good ball of Hydras with the Lings shielding them to engage the Adepts. And I think Reynor is just going to get overwhelmed and taken out here by a very crisp 1 Oracle into Glaive Adept. He was doing a greedy build, and if you do not realize what's happening, you can end up in trouble. Now, the trick here, I'm going to break it down in the replay, because I actually think Reynor could have figured out what was happening and built a Baneling Nest reactively. And I'll tell you where that scouting info lies, because it's really hard to get the info, but he's just getting mauled, man. I mean, the Queens do tank really well because they're not light units, whereas Lings, Drones, and Hydras are all light units that take bonus from the Adepts. But it doesn't matter. There's so many Adepts. He's got Templar Archives, 3 bases up, Storm on the way, or Charge on the way behind it, as well as going 8 gateways. And, of course, Drones with 2 Hydras against Adepts is a nasty, nasty battle. Reynor's going to keep trying to micro his way out of this, but you can see he's trying to stay out of range of the Adepts. But, man, a 2 range advantage, as good as it is, it's not enough to easily keep the Hydras out of range. Finally, these Adepts are starting to fall. The 11 workers going down. 3rd base goes down. The Adepts continue to shade in, which I do think is a little overeager at this point. Should back out of this. You can try to just shift-click some drones, potentially. The Ling's going to try to block drones, trying to pull away. The Lings can't quite block him there. Every extra drone that goes down, not to mention mining time, a disaster for Reynor, who's already broke. Yeah, these sort of builds Reynor's doing, essentially, because it's almost like a 2-base tech build. It's really important to realize what your opponent's doing. The main rule with 2-base tech builds is you should Overseer Scout the moment your layer's done, so you've got time to react. Because it's, normally, I think a lot of Zergs get so used to playing standard Zerg play these days, which is just big economy. You don't really need to know exactly what the opponent's doing. You just make a whole ton of stuff. And it's just generic stuff. But when you're playing on a higher tech, lower economy, you have to be much more discerning as a Zerg in terms of what you build to counter your opponent. The reason I've been having fun on the ladder so much with 2-base tech styles, and like I go full 2-base tech, whereas Reynor's at least taken a quick 3rd. He's just rushed his tech and the 3rd at the same time and skipped on his queens. But I love the 2-base tech build because it forces a game of push and pull where they see you do this, they start to counter it, so you pivot into a different tech. Feels like there's a lot of choices in terms of what units you're building in what situation. It makes it a lot more interesting and kind of reminds me of like old school Florencio files almost, You're not playing solid StarCraft, you're just trying to counter your opponent's army. GG, nice game 1 there for Krystianer. So let's go through this really quickly. So first things first, if you want, you can be a bit greedier as Reynor. Now this is very risky because he's only built 8 Zerglings. But since he's building 6 more already, he could do it. Now the way you do that is you skip spores entirely. And actually, he's done that very well. Notice, normally you'd build a spore at about 330. Despite only having 3 queens, he's basically said, look, if an Oracle comes in, I can pull these 2 queens together. This is a map with only a very small gap in the creep here. So your queens can easily group up. 2 queens can defend a base without critical losses, right? But the Oracle can't come across the map usually in these scenarios. Why can it not come across the map? The reason it can't come across is because your Lings are going to cancel his 3rd otherwise. So that's really big. Now, obviously, there could be first Oracle is able to move across because the second Oracle's popping and that sort of stuff. But Reynor already had info from very early on in this game that this was going to be a defensive first Oracle. Now, how did he know that, guys? Because what scouting did he get? Newly birthed queen. At this point, it's about 310. He saw the Stalker run over. If there's a Stalker there early, that already tells you the Oracle's going to be defensive. Not only that, we go back even earlier. What did he see with the Gateway? He did actually, sorry, the Adept did get chronoed. So he did see the Gateway get chronoed, which is a sign of aggression. But notice when the Adept pops out, look at this. No second chrono. And he purposely moves forward to check. And he's like, oh, you're not even building a second Gateway unit. What does that tell you? It tells you this guy is chronoing probes doubly. So rather than, you don't have to worry about the double Adept pinning you. You don't, you know this guy, because he's got a bit less Gateway production, he's more likely to keep that first Oracle at home. You then see the Stalker, which tells you the Oracle is going to be pinned at home because it's got to spot the ledge to kill this Overlord. This means you can delay your spores and gamble on saying, if I build a few more Lings, I can both look for damage and pin his Oracles at home and skimp on anti-air behind it. This was really good play by REYNOR. I think it's totally fine that he ends up building 3 spores, and you can see they're kind of perfectly timed, so they're not actually kicking in until about 4:30. He's delayed these spores really well. This is awesome. Now, here's a key point, and I get he's kind of like cutting things fine to the bone, but because you can't afford a safety Baneling Nest with this build order unless you know there's something like Glaive Adepts, he should already be making an Overseer. Problem is he's lost his Overlord on the other side of the map. So even if you were to make an Overseer in this game, he'd make it from here and then send it forwards. So here's an argument I would say is when you do a 2-base tech build, you need to either rely on this guy for Overseer, but the moment you see a Stalker, you know this Overlord's probably dead. So I would argue you should grab this Overlord and it should already be moving along the north of the map, up here, so that by the time your lair's done, it's maybe a bit closer, maybe halfway across the enemy map, so you can morph this into an Overseer and get an earlier scout. Because getting that early scout is crucial if you realize what's happening. Any warning is going to be massive. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily going to tell you in time, unless you're able to morph it a bit quicker. But I think that could make a difference. Now we're going to check his Hydra Den timing. One of the things you always want to check if you play this style is, did I build my Hydra Den the second my lair finished? So we look at this, we benchmark it, and we kind of say, okay, so lair finishes 4:38. We should be starting our Hydra Den almost instantly. That's a 4-second delay. Not big by any means, that's not bad. But in a game like this, 4 seconds actually matters quite a lot. Because remember, you want Hydras out. If you can get like 6 to 8 Hydras with the range damage, like suddenly they kill the Adepts really fast, and drones and queens can tank for them really well. The problem you have against this particular style is that you don't have any damage to kill the Adepts. Your Lings that do good damage, they just disappear too quickly. Even if you block with like drones and queens, you don't have any actual damage dealers. So at this point, he sees what's happening. Unfortunately, he's just built another drone for Zerglings. He does start the Hydra Den, the Groove Spine, sorry, and 1 Hydra. Unfortunately, it's really bad luck in that he just doesn't have any lava available right now. And it's just awkward timing. Now, I still think REYNOR could have survived here because he's straight into Hydras, but he needed to give this base up. Now, I don't know about walling off. Walling off is an okay call, probably not a bad one. And I think having a drone over here ready to take a new base, also a good idea. But the moment he moves down to defend this base was huge. The reason he makes this call is, unfortunately, he's got Hydras popping surrounded by Adepts, and he's not willing to cancel these because he's just got such limited production right now, and that's really unfortunate. It does remind us, if you ever are surprised by an attack coming your way and you need to build units to defend, it's hard to do, but if you're REYNOR, you got 500 APM, you can do it. Try to make sure you build your Hydras from your main and your natural, not from your base at the front, because these units popping out surrounded is tragic. You've got 2 Hydras with 6 more on the way, 3 of them are going to pop surrounded by Adepts, and that's just so unfortunate. Because, I mean, he's actually lucky. Only one of them goes down because the Adepts are attacking the hatchery. Honestly, this is a really hard one to scout, guys. I think in general, REYNOR's playing a little bit of a risky build by skipping the Baneling Nest with this build order. I think if he was rushing the Hydras even slightly faster, he probably gets out of trouble. As it is, though, he probably should have just given up this hatchery. He's already invested in the wall off. He's got a drone over here. Build the Hydras, build the Lings. The moment you're out of worry, rebuild this 3rd base, try to potentially look for some play that you can make and see if you could do something. You could also go for like a Hydra slow Baneling counterattack all in. This one's very dicey because obviously force fields would be really good against it, but because the Adepts are such a problem, the idea is basically like Lings are almost worthless against a defensive wall of Adepts. But if you suddenly go with like 12, 14 Hydras, 15 Banelings, and he's got maybe an Immortal out, but he hasn't made any Archons yet. He's got like, oh, I've made a few more Adepts and a Sentry or 2 and an Immortal or 2. If he doesn't have Archons or Psystorm, You'd be surprised, even if you're essentially doing a 2-base counterattack all in, Hydra Bane might be able to actually break him here. But either way, good build for Krystianer. I think it matches up well against Reynor's build order. I thought I was going to find more obvious tells of Reynor could have scouted this, seen what was happening earlier. As we saw, the problem is, because he lost his Overlord on the other side, didn't have an Overlord in position, he didn't have an easy option for it. But you can imagine, if he made an Overseer right now, somewhere in this position, sends it in, it could have given him even the 10 or 15 second warning, which would have allowed him to not build the last 4 or 5 drones, the last 4 or 5 Zerglings. And remember, these drones and Zerglings are nearly worthless. It's much better if he was saving lava to build Hydras. I know he doesn't have a crazy amount of gas, but every Hydra is going to matter, and definitely Zerglings over drones, at least because they do buffer. Either way, great game one for Krystianer. All right, guys, Krystianer with a very nice one Oracle, I should say, not one Stargate Oracle timing into Glaive Adept. Reynor got caught being greedy. It's interesting because I thought I was going to find his scouting was a bit worse, but even he would have needed to send his second Overlord across the map really quickly, like the moment he saw a Stalker at the front, knowing his first Overlord was going to get sniped. Even then, if he instantly made Overseer, same time he made the Hydrogen, he would have maybe had like 10, 12 seconds at most, I think, extra to react. It's a tough situation. You might think, well, I guess Protoss is just in, but Glaive Adept beats everything. You got to remember that build order-wise, if you're rushing to Hydras, you're essentially doing attack rush. You're skipping the normal safety steps, Baneling Nest or Roach Warren. And then, guess what happens? He hits you with Glaive Adepts right in that window before your Hydra Tech really kicks in. That's an issue. That's a big, big issue. It's going to be Tourmaline for this map. And it's a Gate Scout. A bit of a conservative build for Krystianer. Interestingly, 16 on minerals, only 1 on gas. The only reason I would imagine you're doing that is if you're going to go straight Glaive Adept opening. Does Krystianer play 3-gate Glaives with no Robo, maybe? That build has come back. It's very Neeb-esque, very 2016, early days. Especially back when we had the Mothership Core to help defend. But that was like, it was kind of like, hey, I can get Glaive Adepts across the map very quickly, force a massive response, and have a pretty well-timed third into Immortal transition already on the way behind it. You can also do, of course, you know, the old... what I haven't seen anyone do is, you know how people will do 4-gate Glaive Adept with the Prism? And then they follow up with 2 Immortals and a Mass Adept Immortal attack? I think you can do that off of 3-gate or 4-gate Glaives without the original Robo. Build the Robo a bit later, and you can actually probably do a very vicious timing off of that as well. Maybe... I think with that, you'd probably have a third base up as well. You'd more be playing the, hey, look, I'm totally playing a macro game. But in fact, you're not. Now, this is what I'm talking about. He didn't put extra on gas, so his Stargate's going to be slightly delayed here. Interesting. It's not like it's massive, but it does make a difference. Now, is he going to chrono a second Adept? Probe is getting chased back. Second Adept's on the way. Hasn't chronoed it just yet. Gateway is selected. No, double chrono on the probes. Okay, so he's a big fan of chronoing a single Adept out, not the other one. Reynor gets his third base up. Reynor's got Ling Speed nice and early. Third Queen building from the front. Should see an Overlord next, and then back to drones, as there is no second unit about to arrive. I thought we were going to see Twilight, but like I said, just a slight delay on the Stargate there. Most people will pull a worker off minerals. They'll go 15 on minerals and get the gas mining going really early. Okay, 10 more Zerglings on the way. So Reynor's going to try and skimp on anti-air again. I think this is partially to take advantage of the fact that Chrissy likes to skimp on oracles. So he says, look, if I keep my Lings pressuring your side, your oracle can't fly across the map. And I think this is, in general, a very good play to mix in. Is it as effective if you do it 2 games in a row, though? Wow, this time he's gone straight to 14 Lings. So the first wave's going to be a bit heftier. Not just 8. He sees the oracles at home. Chrissy keeps it in position, and he goes straight Robo before Twilight. What is this build? Is he going to rush Colossus or something? Guys, what is Krystianer doing? Robo into Twilight. Normally it's Twilight into Robo if you want to do Archon drop. Maybe he just wants to get an early Observer out. The Oracle moves out, the Lings come in. He waited for a bit, thinking, oh, the Oracle must be coming across the map by now. You might be thinking, well, this is bad because you built so many Lings, you haven't done damage. But look at this, he's built Spores as well. Oh, that's a bit unfortunate. I think Reynor was worried that the Oracle would get around his vision. So he did build Spores. I think this is a pretty happy opening for Krystianer. Question is, what is this Robo for? Like I said, is it just an early observer? To get a bit of vision, maybe. Relying on his Oracle for defense. Roach Warren goes down for REYNOR. Doesn't want to get caught by Glaive Adepts again. 3 more gateways are building for Krystianer. He's paused probes temporarily. Prism starts up. Templar Archives is about to go down. All right, he's just going to do an Archon drop, but it's just a bit of a late Archon drop, I think. Now, the weakness of this is he's not going to morph the Archons at home. He's going to try and morph over here. Problem is, REYNOR knows that he likes to do this build. REYNOR can stop him from morphing on his side of the map by following the Warp Prism with Zerglings. And if you warp them in, REYNOR might purposely, like, lose track of you to bait you into warping them in. And then when you start merging, you can't pick them up into the safety of the prism until the merge is complete. And that's where he could run in and surround you and deal with it. And I think Krystianer is realizing, oh, we're not going to get this, are we? I need to do it back here. I think he's going to realize, oh no, he's going to use the Oracle. Okay, he's going to use the Oracle to guard it. But already this has massively slowed down what he's doing. 4th hatchery in the middle, Evo chamber coming up. And Krystianer is avoiding playing a fast-paced game of StarCraft. He's very doggedly avoiding all the difficult multitasking things where REYNOR would like to force him. REYNOR's going to go Infestation. He could either go Fast Lurker or Swarmhost. I think Swarmhost is probably the right option because you know this is not a Blink build. Nidus especially. Swarmhost from here, Swarmhost from down here. Not to mention in the middle as well. I mean, there are some really good angles, and without the mobility of Blink, it's going to be hard to shut those down. But he goes Hydra Den, which tells us I think he wants to go Lurkers. I think Swarmhost Roach Ravager here would be absolutely incredible. Probably near impossible for Krystianer to beat. REYNOR used to really struggle with Showtime. Showtime used to always play charge builds. He'd wreck REYNOR game 1. REYNOR would barely survive game 2. And then REYNOR would get the easiest win of his life with Swarmhost in game 3. But I always feel like REYNOR only does that when he's feeling a bit helpless. If you're kicking his butt with Zealot, Archon Storm styles, then he'll go, oh, fine, I have to play Swarmhosts. Or like he's not as quick to jump to that option. Kind of the difference I would argue between REYNOR and some other Zergs is sometimes there are certain styles REYNOR won't go to based off of how he knows his opponent plays. He'll do it based off of his opponent beating him in a game or two. REYNOR very famous for getting down a few games in a series before he really wakes up. 3-base style into Storm. Like I said, double Robo, Storm. This is exactly what we were talking about at the start of this series, guys. He's just going to build a 3-base Immortal Storm army. REYNOR has a quick hive, but can he get Lurkers out before that Storm push comes? I think he can. I think he's had a good enough early game. He hasn't lost many units. He's lost 7 Zerglings and an Overlord. He's got some Hydras coming out. Stasis Trap Archon Drop, not going to do anything. Got the 4th base gas, which is huge. He's going to build some spores out front. I guess that's the deal with like observers and oracles detecting. Because he realized like if I've got spores guarding my spread of lurkers, it's going to be really hard for you to reveal it. Archon drop comes back in and Zealots. Oh no, REYNOR's messed up. REYNOR he thought he was completely solid here, but he's going to lose a bunch of workers and good recall. Look at that. 7 drones go down. Loses only 1 Zealot. Both Archons and the Prism and the Oracle survive. Brilliant play there for Krystianer. He's keeping REYNOR busy. Lurkers are starting to morph, but they're not ready just yet. REYNOR, he's got his 4th base gas up. Oh, the Oracle going down is massive. Because all he's got for detection was that Oracle and now 1 Observer building. Lurkers are literally impossible for Krystianer to kill. But those Lurkers need to get burrowed in front of this base right now. REYNOR, get down in the ground. Okay, he's going to be somewhat in position, but, not in position to save the hatchery. If his Lurkers were out front, he could have saved this. The Linger Hydra tries to go around the edge. Remember, the Hydras do not have muscular augments. These Lurkers also only have 8 range. They are not 10 range Lurkers. And he's trying to do a beautiful spread. He's got to watch out for the Observer, though. The Lings and Hydras trying to escape. Oh, they get completely surrounded by the Zealots. Brilliant play for Krystianer. And REYNOR, he's trying to hang on there, but with the Observer coming forward, that Spore Crawler goes down. There's no Overseer here, guys. The Overseer's on the other side of the map, which means the Observer micro is good. The Lurkers are getting busted. Krystianer is going to break this position. The Lurker's going down. He needs to bring the Observers forward. The Observers need to go forward. There's still 2 Lurkers there. He's got to click on that last Lurker. He does manage to take it down with the Storm. And I think this is a break here. I think Krystianer should be able to now plow through this 4th. 1 Observer goes down to Storm, but that's okay. He's got REYNOR back to 3 bases. Brilliant play. And Krystianer He doesn't have a lot of Storm. I think Krystianer maybe should wait for more Storm energy. He's got like 2 Psy Storms, or 3 now. Good Storm. Drones, of course, getting pulled into that. Not good. REYNOR needs to get these drones out of here. REYNOR is trying to fight with Drone Hydra right now. My gosh, he's getting minced. All of his drones go down. And it does look like Krystianer should be able to deal with this. But Krystianer's army does split up. He doesn't have many regular units here. His Zealots are dealing with the Hydras on the rally there. He's down to a few Zealots, 2 Immortals, 1 Archon. Good micro for REYNOR on both sides. REYNOR's going to try and bait him out here. Can't eat any Psy Storm damage. Sentries falling. Hydra's now with a bit of a natural surround, which is nice. The Overlord's there. Going to take a bit of damage. The Observers almost all died to Psy Storm. The Immortal Archon's about to fall here. Oh, he overstayed his welcome. Krystianer has gone a bit too deep. The drone pool coming in. The Archons will ruin those drones, though. The drones do pull back at the right time. Down to 58 workers. REYNOR survives. If he can get both of those Immortals, that would be big. He wants them, but he doesn't have muscular augments. That's why those Immortals are barely thinking about escaping. The sentry goes down. The Immortals survive, guys. And guys, just to check, that's the 20 kill Immortal on the left, 16 kill on the right. 36 kills between these two guys. Oh my gosh. Damn, dude. What are their names? Can you guys name those Immortals for me? For some reason, Lance and Armstrong are popping into minds. What's the, what are the drugs that he did again? These guys are on a lot of that. They got that EPO, right? They've been pumping EPO for days, man. And it was just him. No one else that's ever done bike racing has ever done it, guys, remember? Totally true. Definitely, 100%. 4th base goes down to the bottom right side. Only +1 weapons, no +2. Oh, I like the Contaminate. No Warp Prism for you. The problem is the High Templar. There's 10 High Templar gathering energy right now. And all you need to do as Krystianer is, yeah, keep splitting up, wedge your army between the opponent and his base, and then REYNOR has to walk through Psy Storms, and then your Zealots can counter at the same time. REYNOR's so screwed. There's no way he can get this 4th base defended. So easy. And Krystianer could even break through here. Like, he could walk in, kill 3 Lurkers, drop Storms on him, and just run away. Zealots are getting maybe dealt with, but look, he's got Storms to cover that side as well. Fleet Beak, I was going to say, as long as he goes Tempest, he's chill. 2nd and 3rd Stargate Fleet Beak, and REYNOR right now, 59 drones. He's kind of in D-Town. Zealot, Storm, Rex Hydraling. That's only if the Storms land. REYNOR, of course, has insane micro, and he's going to go for the Rogue maneuver. Now, guys might not know, but Rogue, kind of famous for putting a sneaky Nidus Worm in his opponent's backdoor when they're not looking, and stealing victory from the jaws of defeat. Dark used to pull this one off a lot. Tempests are on the way. I mean, REYNOR, every second that goes by is awful for him, guys. He's got +1 range. I know the upgrades aren't there for Krystianer. He's only on +1 himself, but it doesn't matter. Like, he's got Storm Arc on Immortal, man. Nidus in the backdoor. Nidus in the backdoor, Krystianer. Oh my god, Krystianer, he doesn't have recall energy. He hasn't noticed. He hasn't noticed he's not warping in Zealots. Oh my god. Krystianer, his door's wide open as well. Oh my god. Oh no, he's not paying any attention. Ling's in the back door. Lurker's in the main. He's going to just shove the front and try to base trade it. Oh my gosh, but REYNOR has a head start on the base trade. REYNOR's army is just worse than his, guys. These 13 Lurkers cannot fight in a bad position. He's got to find the correct angle. And maybe he can make some magic happen, but he's got to watch out for those Psy Storms. Hatchery in the middle will go down. A few Zealots to go down. The Archons take big damage. Zealots causing big troubles, man, because they're +1. Zerglings in choke points aren't that good. The Lurkers do some damage here, but REYNOR's back to 3 bases. Recall's going to come out. Oh, recalling on top of Lurkers with High Templar. A little bit dicey. Does he have detection, though? It looks like he must have. Either that or Storms cleared it up. No, he doesn't have detection here. So if he did have it, maybe the Observer got sniped. High Templar will go down. Oh my gosh, the Immortal Archon taking big damage on the way out. The Archon does fall. The Lurkers are going to split up. Where's the Observers? They're all down here with his army. Krystianer, he's kept this game plan so simple so far. He's really like avoided multitasking or anything scary. But he's got to go back and deal with this. Okay, he's going to use a Tempest and some Zealot Warp-ins to deal with this Lurker. Good block there. Zealots will go after the Nidus Worm now, but on the front! Lurker ambush, Lurker ambush. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't matter. Storm Immortal wrecks those Lurkers. He does walk through his own Psy Storms, though. You've really got to be wary about that. High Templar now very wounded. A few more Lurker shots could kill them. The Prism and Immortal and High Templar are going to rally into REYNOR. REYNOR making this game as messy as possible. But Krystianer has a 4th base. Even though Krystianer is only on 42 probes, he actually has way more resources available. Reynor's down to 2.5 mineral lines, trying to take this base down bottom, but he hasn't been able to establish it. He's going to take 2 Vipers. Vipers are really smart because he doesn't have the money for Corruptors. But if he gets a bunch of Abducts, bam, he can deal with the Tempest somewhat. Of course, Reynor is down on army supply against a Protoss player who has a lot of Psystorm, and that is a disaster. Lings do not have any upgrades at all. No melee, no adrenal. Luckily, there's no armor or shields for the probes, and these units are pretty damn cheap. But as you can see, the Zealots cause real trouble for them. Pushing in right now. Reynor's out of position. Oh, no! Reynor's out of position. He thought his base would be attacked. He does go in with a Lurker on the right side, which will start ruining the economy of Krystianer. Krystianer's not noticed. Krystianer's got a good position. He's focused on his main army. He drops a lot of storms, too many even. He's used most of his storms already. Where are those Vipers? Can he land the Abducts? Abducts could be game changers. Storm goes down, a couple of Abducts come in, an Immortal and a Tempest get pulled forwards. My gosh, there's so much Psystorm though. So much Psystorm. 10 probes go down. Lurker will eventually kill the Nexus, given enough time. There's no storms here anymore. The Lurker Hydra of Reynor cornering the Protoss player. He's actually going to start taking damage from the Spore Crawler. The Spore Crawler, an absolute Chad gamer in the back, putting that Tempest deep in the orange. Finally, it does go down, but you can tell Krystianer is very F2-centric with his army control of this game. Lots of F2 for Krystianer. And Reynor trying to scramble backwards. The Hydras, the Lurkers trying to get on top of this army. He's trying to deal with it. The Archon Tempest here is pushed into a corner, but at the same time, he pushes through the middle. And if he gets on this base, Reynor has so little economy. These Lurkers in the open. Oh, no. Reynor's going to lose all 4 Lurkers there. Great play for those Immortals. These 2 Tempests in the corner are going to try to pull to safety. That red hit point Immortal is up to 29 kills, guys. Armstrong is still alive. Lance did go down earlier. Armstrong falls as well. There's not enough EPO in the world. I don't care how much you pump all that energy back into your blood. Doesn't matter, though. He took out 29 or 30 kills there. 2 Tempests on the left side, still sieging the backline of the minerals. Reynor is poor, but he's got a 4th base up, 13 workers there. This Nexus still very slowly dying to the Lurkers on that side. 1 Tempest still on the left. He's got 7 observers, and he's still making more, guys. I don't know who we're watching right now, but this looks a little bit like Platinum League pig right here, because that's what I do with my observers when I get wrecked by Lurkers, and where's my detection? To be fair, I think big mistake. He should be going Oracle. I think the problem he might be having is that the Oracle, if you don't control it well, tends to fly in and get itself killed. But the Oracle is much better mobile late game detection because you can tag from further away and track where the Lurkers are without having to bring your observers as close to the action. But he's got 8 observers, 6 Zealots, 2 Archons, 5 High Templar. Reynor, of course, has a much better army, guys. 15 unupgraded Zerglings, 8 Hydras, and 3 Lurkers. He did get +2 on the Rage, and actually a nice little Lingrod buy is going to pick off a few probes. Every probe is sacred right now, guys. Every probe is sacred. And unfortunately, Krystianer, even though he warps in a Zealot, isn't quite able to do it. Isn't quite like he should have ran those probes away there. The Zealot does clean up those Zerglings, though, as they do accidentally attack an assimilator. Zealot's coming into the natural as well. The Lurker Hydra trying desperately to defend. Krystianer is going to rotate, though. He knows Reynor's distracted. Reynor, can he split his army to deal with the Zealots and this at the same time? Oh, no! Reynor caught not looking. It's a brilliant reposition for Krystianer. Gets rid of the Lurkers, knowing that Reynor was occupied with those Zealots. That is massive. But you can't lose these Archons on this side table. He's got so little regular damage right now. 1 Archon goes down. 1 Archon falls. On the other side, it looks like the Zealots did get cleaned up. Reynor's still on 47 workers. Has Reynor actually punched his way out of the coffin, guys? The Italian boy with the Hydralisk tattoo right now. He says, "You're not my daddy. You can't bury me alive." And he punches his way out. He's been studying on a mountain, trying to eat that rice with those chopsticks from a guy with a sick beard, learning how to do that friggin' punch. That's right. We're referencing 2 different pieces of media where girls punch their way out of graves, just in case some of you were a little bit behind there. Lurker's going to go down. The observers get sniped, but the Storm will pop that Lurker despite it. It's just Zealots and Storms right now trying to hang out. The Nexus is dangerously low. If that Nexus goes down, Chrissy's almost completely out of economy, and he's down to just 10 probes right now. He cannot hold on. What the hell, dude? Reynor was absolutely screwed. But the Hail Mary backdoor Nidus, you could tell this is like a really common thing that happens. I think this is so relatable to so many of us. You guys know when you have your opponent completely pinned, it's a 3 base Zerg on 60 workers. He's got nothing. You've got a bloody Tempest transition on the way here. Was it about 12 minutes, right? Where Krystianer is like, I've got 2 armies keeping you pinned. You can't expand. You can't do anything. I'm going to go 3 Stargate Tempest to finish you off. But Krystianer kind of forgot about his basics, and I think this is something which happens a lot with players who do very simple styles of StarCraft. What do I mean by that? Krystianer purposely doesn't take a 4th. It's not really part of his game plan. He almost always wins with a 3-base push, and you can tell he's kind of forced to play longer than he's comfortable with, because yes, he takes the 4th, but he takes forever to transfer workers from his natural and his 3rd, and he just doesn't set up any defenses, right? There's no cannons in each mineral line. Normally a player who's a bit more macro-centric has a bit more money, and they're like, they've got a cannon in each mineral line. They've got a unit still on hold position in the wall. They're a bit more aware of like, how could I lose this game? And rather than trying to just be like, you can't take a 4th, I'm in your face, they're a little bit more focused on, I've already established Alpha the lead. Even if I let you take a 4th, it doesn't matter. Because once my Tempests arrive, I'm going to siege you down anyway. I just need a little bit more map vision, you know, make sure I don't get killed by a random Nidus worm. He just needed a little bit more like treading water mentality. And this is the way I like to describe it, is sometimes in StarCraft, you need to just be comfortable treading water at different stages of the game. And you'll see players who are always looking for a certain timing attack and are so reliant on that when the storm timing doesn't quite win the game, sometimes they just look a little bit stiff in the next step, a little bit inflexible. Okay, now I'll go with Tempest, and then I'll do a Tempest timing. But realistically, sometimes you just gotta like, just add +2. Why have we not added +2 yet? Build a few more probes, transfer workers, make sure your defenses are still there, and you should be completely fine. Either way, great comeback for REYNOR. He had to do a lot of stuff really well. There was a lot of observers sniped this game. Really good lurker movement. GG's. All right, guys. Krystianer got a bit excited in that last game. I feel like his build is nasty. And REYNOR once again tried to rush lurkers against. And honestly, you know what's crazy, guys? Like, as someone who's critical of this, let's try and go lurkers against, I actually think REYNOR did it near perfect. He just has to speed those lurkers up ever so slightly, morph them a little closer to the front, which I know feels dangerous, but do that. And if he got those 4 lurkers burrowed in a spread in front of that hatchery, I think it would have bought time for him to morph more lurkers and like reinforce that battle line, right? The difficult thing is, do you feel like when observers... I'm curious for your thoughts in the comments as well, guys. Do you feel like, as he goes for hatchery here after Overlord, Krystianer's going Gate Scout again. Gate Scout, so conservative. Not a fan of Krystianer's opening, guys. I think Protoss players have been really lazy with their openings recently. I think just be greedy. Mix in a no scout. REYNOR's not going to risk 12 pulling against a guy who he thinks he's better than. You know? Take the gamble. Anyways, but I'm curious to others. Do you think once the observers arrive, he just breaks the position, even if there's like 8 lurkers there? Because he might. I think it might depend on if REYNOR can get far enough in front of the hatchery that he has room to snipe observers and pull back. And like, if the Immortals spread in a line and start coming forward and dropping storms, if he can unburrow the lurkers and pull them back and have like a second line of lurkers behind that. Like, you don't want all your lurkers too clumped up, you know? Because I think that might be the key, is you want to be far enough in front of your hatchery that you've got room to move back. But because the fight at REYNOR's 4th started with his lurkers behind his hatchery, he's got no room to move. He's losing drones and a gas immediately. He's trying to move up that left flank. It's all those Lings and Hydras surrounded, and from there he's kind of screwed. I think the other problem, of course, is the fact that he's so Ling Hydra dependent, right? The argument is, well, if you get enough lurkers, that's where your gas goes. But the downside is your support units all get ruined by +1 zealots, right? Like, the +1 zealots do so well against these unupgraded Lings and Hydras, at least just +1 range Lings and Hydras. Anyway, it's a tough build to play against from Krystianer. The other thing I do wonder is, how do Banelings do against that? Because normally early storm timings, Banelings and coming in with surrounds is really good against that sort of style. I think that the reason REYNOR doesn't want to do that is, I think if Krystianer sees you're playing a Baneling heavy style, he like doesn't shove on creep until he has more Archons. I think he's like, he just adds more and more Archons, and he goes up to like 10 High Templar, and he just has unlimited Psy Storms and Archons to zone out all your Banelings. And even with surrounds, you can't really get on top of him. So I think Banelings, the problem with Banelings is it's such an inefficient play in the combat that it gives Krystianer all the time in the world to say, oh, you're making Banes. I'll just build the best anti-Baneling army off of 3 base and still push through. Big, does the targeted damage by a Colossus always take damage? Or is it possible for units to run, stim, or blink away? I think they always take damage. But, yeah. Not really sure how the splash is kind of interesting on the Colossus, because it goes in that little line on either side of the unit, right? I haven't really, like, closely studied the Colossus splash damage. But, don't think it's too crazy. Notice he goes for the third Nexus here really early. This is a very streamlined build, guys. 2 Chronos on probes, only 1 on the Adept. Third Nexus before even walling his base off. So this is before he builds his pylon to get out of the 46 supply block, right? Surely you don't build a gateway. Oh, he's going to go Robo in the wall. Bad wall off. That's not a wall off, guys. This is 101. He's still not built a pylon. Has he forgotten it? Or is this just how optimized his build is, maybe? It might be because he wants to go straight to Archon, so he needs 600 gas to make those 2 Archons. Starts the pylon now, squeezes 2 more probes in. He needs to build another pylon here to thicken that choke point. That's really weird, guys. But you know, I'm a Day 9 fan. You know what they say about Day 9 and Tasteless, right? The plot thickens. Adept's going to try and dance around. Actually baits the Zerglings in. 3 of them go down. 1 to the Oracle, 2 to the Adept. Those who don't know, Tasteless and Day 9's last name is Plot, guys. Just for the... It's always funny these days because there's so many people who've been following StarCraft for like 5 years and they like don't know what a Day 9 is. Or they're like, Tasteless, that's the guy in Korea? And I'm like, you don't know who Tasteless is? What are we talking about? I forget that not everyone's been following this game for 15 years sometimes. 16 now. Templar Archive's on the way. He's going to do the same build. REYNOR expects this. This really is a skill check, guys. I feel like Krystianer plays a lot like the guys I used to compete against in Heart of the Swarm, where you'd know what the Protoss player was going to do before the game started, and boy, was it hard to beat it. Shades of Slayer's Arthur, man. Slayer's Arthur build was much dumber, to be fair. He would just do a 2 base, and then he'd sneak a Prism in, drop sentries, and force field your ramp, and warp in 8 gates of units, while perma force fielding you out of your main base. He did the same build every ZVP for like 4 years. It was truly an IQ test of the Zerg players, and yet we'd still find ways to lose to it sometimes because we did have negative IQ, and I think Arthur was very good about reminding us of that. We'd be like, how stupid are you to do the same build over and over again, you idiot! And he's like, how dumb are the guys who are losing to it still? We're like, we're pretty dumb! Please stop! It's really mean that you would make it this obvious how bad we are. Archon drop's going to go towards the main base. Charges on the way. 3 more gateways. Could warp in a few zealots with this as well, but he doesn't have charge just yet. Oh, Lings aren't very good against Archons, guys. Transfuse does come down. I think the Queen should just fight. Tries to bait him in so he can surround the Archons. You can see the Archon's very good against those Zerglings. He doesn't have +1 though, so he doesn't quite... Actually, what's an Archon's base damage versus biological? Like 35, 37? I feel like it one-shot Zerglings no matter what. Maybe if there's a carapace it doesn't. I don't know. Yeah, it does one-shot in the, at least in the smallest sphere of splash damage. 65 drones straight to Hydras for REYNOR. Are we going to see a Baneling Nest go down? No, he does go Infestation. Okay, he's playing the same style as last game. Zealots warping on the front and 2 more Archons. Oh, the Prism taking big damage, man. The Prism needs to... He's baiting the Queens in. REYNOR messed up. Chrissy's got him. I think Chrissy's got him. The Queens run forward. 3 Queens go down. Yes, he's killed an Archon. The Prism did go down, which is big. He's going to have to make a new Prism, warp in Zealots from his side of the map. REYNOR was expecting him to just go straight Storm again, because normally it's just an Archon drop. Normally he doesn't warp in the Zealots, but Krystianer changes it up here. And drones are really bad against Archon Zealot. But as the Hydra count grows, Archon Zealot can get killed very quickly. Hydras are looking for the new Prism. Dude, that's so funny. He knows there's going to be a new Prism building. The Hydras are like, where is it? I know it's going to be coming, but oh god, his Hydra's going to get overwhelmed. He's got to pull drones in. Anything to buy time for those Hydras to do the damage. He's going to F2 in these 3 Hydras from behind as well. The Hydras need help. He doesn't have muscular augments. They don't move that quickly. The Hydras are getting jumped on right now. Oh no. He needs to pull the drones in. REYNOR's got 70 workers, but 1 Archon goes down. Oh, the Hydra's doing pretty well. That transfuse on the Hydra pretty nice as well. Another Hydra goes down. Ooh, good angling for REYNOR. And guys, there's no follow-up. Krystianer is playing this as an all-in. It's a 7-gate. He's trying to make 3 more gateways. Wait. Is he all-in? But he's got 6 gas, but he's not made Size Storm. Krystianer, he did a really good pressure, guys, but he doesn't transition. If he had Storm on the way this whole time, and plus a Forge and stuff, he'd be good. But he literally, he's doing it like an all-in, but he forgot to build enough gateways to do it as an all-in. So now he's just doubling down on Archon Zealot. REYNOR's building Zerglings, which is not great against this, but it's not terrible because these are not +1 Zealots. Only now does a Forge start. Krystianer is completely all-in on mass Archon Zealot. Hydras don't have movement yet. He doesn't have movement. Dude, that Roach Warren, this is a bad position for REYNOR. He's got to be careful, man. He's got good firepower. Oh, he's gonna go for the Prism. He gets the Prism. Gets the Prism. The Archons do big damage on those Hydras for that. But the firepower of those Hydras is unmatched. 11 more Zealots do warp in. A few Zealots in the bottom left there. Oh, I think honestly, this was such a good pressure for Krystianer. And there's two things that could have done differently. If he either kept his Prism alive and warped in Zealots on the front and actually had 8 to 9 gates and was going all in, I think he wins. Alternatively, if he was making Storm and not continuing to headbutt there, he could be in an amazing position, right? Because you'd be up against REYNOR stuck on Lair Tech making Hydras, and you'd be like, well, now I have 8 High Templar with Storm, some Immortals in the mix, a Prism in the main, Zealots in the south. Good luck defending your natural, your fourth, and your main at the same time from a mass Storm army. But as it is, Krystianer has gone full baboon mode. He is making mass A-move units, just Archons and Zealots. And REYNOR is in survival mode. He knows if he can hang on and withstand this army does not get better with time. Archon Zealot it's the mass roach of Protoss, guys. It's the mass roach of Protoss. It's an army a little bit like spilt milk. It's going to rot on the floor very quickly if you don't lap it up right now. Someone call your pet dog or cat to lap it up. Archon Zealot's getting on top. He doesn't have any detection to deal with those lurkers. Dude, that army is so meaty. It's so meaty. The Hydra's frantically trying to run away. It's such a meaty army. There's so much Archon Zealot. But REYNOR's Hydra Micro is beautiful to watch. Dude, they might not have stim packs, but they really are microing like Marines right now. Shooting and pulling back and shooting and pulling back. And those lurkers, oh no, the Observer does get rid of them. But the Archons have all gone down and Krystianer was all in. Oh man, that Prism Snipe saved his bacon. This was very close to being all over. That Prism Snipe was everything. REYNOR was not expecting this. He was like, yeah, it's an Archon drop. Build a few Hydras, go back to droning, make an Evo, got my Infestation Pit, and then suddenly it's like, wait, you're morphing Archons on creep? You absolute psychopath. And the thing is, because REYNOR committed on the Prism, if he doesn't get the Prism, if that Prism just moves here and just sieges and warps in, but he F2s it forward again. And that Queen, and it even had an Archon inside. He even picked an Archon up. I didn't even realize. He literally kills an Archon inside it. Negative micro for Krystianer. You could tell he just F2 A-moved his whole army forward. If he just warped in Zealots there, doesn't sacrifice that Archon, it is game over. That being said, I think what happened here is he meant to do this as a pressure, guys. But wait, he's not mining this gas. I'm kind of confused. Maybe he was trying to fake like a macro game by taking the gases, but then only mines off this one because it's easier to scout. The thing is, why is he doing it with only 7 gates? If you should have 10. So, and he realizes partway through this and builds 3 more gates. I think he just messed up, man. I think he was just excited because he almost had REYNOR dead 2-0. And then he's like building gateways. Like if you build 4 more gateways and the attack's already finished, it's too late. You should be building a 4th Nexus, size Storm, putting workers on gas, building a few more probes, make a forge. If he does that, he's in a good position still. But damn, I can't believe REYNOR got really lucky here, guys. This build is giving REYNOR big problems. Honestly, I would love to see Serral versus Krystianer because I think Serral would do some really clever adjustments early on to get ahead. I can almost guarantee you, because Serral is always so good at thinking about like what he can do to get ahead. I do think I would have loved to see this Spore Crawler get skipped in the main entirely, since you're building Lings to pressure the 3rd every game. And Krystianer is so predictable. He's only ever building 1 Oracle, and he's almost always keeping it at home. Even if you only build 8 Zerglings, I get he didn't build as many Zerglings this time, so he builds the Spore. But I actually think he ends up building 14 Zerglings anyway. Better to commit to the Zerglings a little bit earlier off about 35 drones and skip those Spore Crawlers until about 4 minutes, 4:15, and then put the Spores down. Really good play by REYNOR. Maybe he figures Krystianer is a bit more variable than what we're seeing in this series. But from what I saw, I think the fact he's only going single Oracle and he's stuck purely defensive means he's quite vulnerable. I also, just off the top of my head, would say, look, guys, the reason Ling Floods don't work against Protoss is because the Oracle has really good energy with energy recharge these days. Problem, he's only building 1 of them. He's got 1 gate, 2 Adepts, and he's got no scouting during this period. If you Ling Flood it's a free win. Not only is this wall off terrible, but even if it wasn't, you're attacking here with the Packalings, here with the Packalings. He's only got one Oracle. He's going to have to start one from scratch. This build order is very vulnerable to all-ins as well. You could even bring drones with it. You could do a Ling Flood, bring like 10 drones, so you drill them through the Adept by clicking on the minerals, attack it from the other side, which means he can't wall off. And you're gonna kill this. You're going to at least get the third base. You're probably going to straight up kill all of his probes and win the game. So I think Krystianer's build order is both very greedy against all-ins, and it's also a little bit predictable in terms of the fact that his oracles aren't getting into your face and they're not doing damage to you. So there's probably some corners that could be cut there. Also, one option is skipping Ling Speed. If you want to play very defensively, delay your Ling Speed massively. Why? He only ever sends one Adept forward, and he always sends it home before Ling Speed's even finished. No way for Protoss to check if you actually committed to Ling Speed or not. All he does is a standard shade here, doesn't really see what's going on, and then he goes home in about 15 seconds knowing Ling Speed's almost finished. So you could actually skip Ling Speed. There's all these little things, skipping spores, skipping Ling Speed, you could maybe do to take advantage of it. But what Krystian is doing is he's simplifying the game so he can do the same hyper-efficient build order with very small weaknesses, and he's kind of avoiding the fast-paced, I got to take a quick fourth and micro stalkers in 2 places and all that sort of stuff, which becomes a mechanical test. That's what Max will play against REYNOR. Krystianer wisely is turning this into a bit more of a build order focused game. 6 series either way. Hats off to REYNOR for surviving that, guys. Whoo! He's no doubt stressed after that. GG, well played.